Okay, so despite me thinking that the second discussion post is like the most important because it has to do with your essay. So the main assignment for this week has to do with logical fallacies. So logical fallacies are things or statements that sound like they're using logic to persuade, but they're not. The logic is faulty, um, and so the argument is faulty. And so they give very many examples of this. See if I, because I sort of copied and pasted it at some point. Um, there's so many in the book in the lesson rather. So they give tons and tons of them, and they're like there's a few that I know well. I mean, when I teach this in face to face classes, I probably teach like 12 to 15 of these different fallacies. And so again, they're just problems in logic. Oh, I know what we'll do. Hold on, let me go to here. So I just was looking at this, so I think it's it wasn't in the lesson. I can't handle. I grabbed it from the book. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So it is. It's in the lesson thing with the week 4 lesson does drafting, like how to write a body paragraph, essentially, and then it moves to logical fallacies. And these are all the logical fallacies that they give us, right? So I don't know, they probably give us 20 or 30 or whatever. Um, Out of these, you're going to have to find 3 that you're going to deal with. So, for example, I'll give you like the bandwagon fallacy. So this means like I'm trying to persuade you because in a way where I'm like everybody does this, so you should do it basically. So that's my logic. If a lot of people do it, then it must be okay, right? So that's a fallacy, right? That's not true. So it's it sounds like it might be logical. Well, yeah, a lot of people do it, but it's not. The logic is terrible. Um, Slippery slopes, one of my favorite ones. Politicians use this all the time, by the way. Like we just let them say it, I guess. I don't understand, but whatever. So slippery slope is when you say, okay, if this one event happens, it's going to lead to a series of worse and worse events. So like the gun lobby will do this. They'll be like, they can't, like, one year in the Senate many years ago, they were trying to ban plastic guns. They were going to like make plastic guns illegal. And the NRA was like, nope, we're not going to go for it. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you do this? And their reasoning was, if we say it's okay to ban this type of gun, the next thing you know is then you'll ban this other type, and then you'll ban this other new type, and this different, and then until you end up banning all guns altogether. So slippery slope has this sort of inevitability thing about it. Like, well, once you do that, then it's going to lead to this thing. And there's no, unless you prove that that's true with actual information, then it's not at all. Logical fallacies are assumptions that have very little basis and no support, basically. So it's that's what makes them fallacies and not solid logic, is some sort of assumption, right? So if they force us to wear seatbelts, then they'll be forcing us to like eat vitamins in the morning, and then they'll force us to like brush our teeth, and then we'll have to do whatever the government says, like this inevitable slide. So that's another one that I do. So I'm hoping like you get a sense of what fallacies are. They're just, and they're types of them. So what's fun, right, is that you can see someone's argument and you can know that it's terrible because it's a fallacy. False dilemma is the either or idea. Like you pretend there's only two real choices. Like you either like so clearly we either have to like I don't know, make Iraq the 51st state or we need to nuke it, right? Like those are the two. So, and people do this often, right? To try to reduce everything down to two options, which is not in order to persuade people. Um, but it's not solid. It's crap logic basically. Okay, red herring is just bringing in a distraction. Ad hominem is like attacking the person and not the idea, right? The idea, instead of talking about the idea, you're like, yeah, but he's an idiot and stupid and he or whatever. Okay, so you look over those and there's like a little check here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. The assignment is you go over the fallacies and then you're going to pick 3 of them. Here's the very basics of the assignment. So you're creating a PowerPoint presentation and you're explaining logical fallacies. In fact, you're doing 3 of them. What you need to find is visual print advertisements. Okay. So when I say you need to find advertisements that show a logical fallacy, you need to find like print, like magazine, like images. Okay. You don't want to use any YouTube videos, right? The whole point of the PowerPoint or this exercise is that you're going to present this image, which is an advertisement of some sort, and explain like how it is a logical fallacy. If you put up a link to a video, that doesn't do it because they want everything to be presented, everything important about the ad to be presented just right there. So, um, altogether, your PowerPoint needs to be 11 slides. Okay, and I'll go, actually, I'm going to pick that up. Here are what the 11 slides need to be. So first slide is an introduction slide, has a name, class, title of the presentation, so you can make up your own presentation. I mean your own title, being creative, but have all that information there. All right, next slide is going to be your first advertisement, the first image, and you want to make sure that you cite it. And all you really have to do, see the citation down here? It just says Ford Motor Company 2018. So it's basically the date and whoever. But you want to make sure you include that on the slide, and that all of, like the slide, basically the image speaks for itself. So this is a image from a magazine. I think it's a Ford advertisement, right? Your third slide is the fallacy that you've decided to focus on. You want to make sure that, and then you're going to define it, but you're not copying and pasting the definition. You're trying to use your own language to explain what it is. So like, I mean, because it's in the book, it says what it is, but like, so this person does false analogy fallacy, and they say when 2 items are compared to one another, but make a point, but the comparison is not truly logical, right? So you pick the fallacy, you define it, and then on this slide, you basically explain your thinking. So on the next slide, explain how and why a specific portion of the ad represents the fallacy. So this person writes, at first glance, it seems that the Ford Motor Company is suggesting that Mustangs are just so powerful that they need a garage, or else they will escape. The image of a horse on the car's grill paired with the closing garage door leads the viewer to think about live horses and stables. Comparing a car to a horse works in several ways: to demonstrate the model, Mustang, to indicate the automobile's horsepower, and to make us think of the car as of a living being, as a living being with a will of its own. It's quite effective. However, the comparison between a horse and car in this image and with the text presents a false analogy fallacy. Even if we love Ford Mustangs, we know that cars don't need to be held at bay while they aren't being driven. We like garages, but this isn't why we use them. A car is not a horse, but the advertisement wants us to feel that comparison in a way that persuades us to want to purchase a Mustang car. Powerful, wild, untamed, even magically alive, right? So he explains the whole thing about the ad, about what they're doing. So that's why I wanted to, because I don't want people to get confused about. And you can find this that example is the one that they show, or the one that they have, I think, in the assignment itself. Like if you go to the assignment in the week 4, it has that exact one, so you can take a look at it. I just wanted to make clear. So these are all very big, but so, and then you basically, I just want to make, so you do that 3 times. That's essentially the whole thing. So you have a title slide, which has all that. Then you do 3 advertisements, right? Meaning advertisement with citation, logical fallacy, and definition, explaining why and how the ad demonstrates the fallacy. You do that 2 more times. And then, oh, and then I end it. And then the very last slide, your 11th slide, will be your references, right? So you're trying to put the APA reference for where the advertisements came from. Um, right. And it says you should not have additional references. So literally, there should be 3 of them, and one for each of the images, and that's it. So you're not doing anything else. And that's the last slide. So title slide, 9 slides in between, and then final slide. Okay.